Hello, Gerry here. Today I'm painting this lovely autumn street scene from Antwerp. Warm light, loose trees and that gentle European architecture that's perfect for practicing atmosphere. In this video I'm going to show you how to make your watercolours feel more expressive and confident by looking at composition, colour choices and how to let the paint do the work for you. If you want your paintings to glow a little more, stay with me. This one will really help. Now before we dive in, a quick confession that I accidentally painted my first washes with the camera off, but don't worry, I've included the drawing for you to use and I'll talk you through exactly what I did so you can follow through without missing anything. It's only a very small part anyway. Now it's a simple peaceful Antwerp street, autumn trees, warm facades and a lovely sense of depth. A perfect subject for atmosphere. And in this demo you will learn how to simplify a busy street into a calm paintable composition, how to choose warm, harmonious autumn colours, how to keep your washes loose and glowing, and how to suggest detail without tightening up, and how to bring life into a cityscape with just a few simple figures. It's all about mood rather than accuracy. It's the initial sketch that I did for the scene. Now, if you enjoy this kind of painting that I do, I've recently opened Gerry's Art Studio over on Patreon. It's a small growing community of painters who want to develop their confidence and looseness, and I'm guiding it personally with extra lessons, feedback and some behind the scene bits. There's a lot more there. No pressure at all, but if you're looking for a place to grow your watercolour practice, you're very welcome over on Patreon. Right, here's a painting. All I've done here is a wash of Payne's Grey. It was more watery where the road is and a bit thicker where the sky and the building on the left is, and then the other part was just done in a wash of very watery raw sienna. Now they've let that dry completely, and I'm going to be using raw umber to start on these buildings in the distance. Using a number 9 synthetic brown brush. Cobalt blue, just dropping it into that raw umber mixture. I'll talk about the materials I'm using in a little while. Just getting these distant buildings in. Going to be drying lighter, so they'll sink back a little bit. You don't have to be too blue because they're not too far back. So, like I normally do when I do landscapes and put trees and things back in the distance. You'll see with the large palette I'm using, I'll dip into the pools of paint that are there. One's Payne's Grey, the other one's raw sienna, and the top one is raw umber and raw sienna combined. And I'm really just putting a watery wash of a mixture of colours on this right hand side. Just working my way along from left to right. You see I'm starting painting at the bottom, going up. On small areas like this it doesn't really matter too much. and then looking at the drawing, seeing some areas that I think I'll just put in a much thicker wash. Just the first wash everywhere, so I'm mindful of the shades that I'm using there, but I just wanted to vary a bit. This is just going to be autumn trees, golden glow to them. Dropping in burnt sienna while it's still wet. Just using the tip of the brush, running it along. This is just the tops of the trees in front of the buildings. Gold and blue combined. And then dipping that brush in some clean water just to lose some of the edges. I'm leaving those cards that are there on the right hand side as well, just going around that with a brush. Over on the left hand side now, still using the same colours from the palette for umber. I find that on paintings like this, if you try and vary the colours too much, or you use too many different colours, it all looks a bit patchy. This looks a bit more cohesive with the very much the same colours. Quickly coming down from the top, once again varying the colours, knowing that I'm going to be going over this again. Still using that same brush. Paper size I'm using is quarter imperial, which is about A3, I think. Well, that's the nearest, that's as close as it can get to that. Paper I'm using is Saunders Waterford, 140 pounds rough, and it's taped to a ball with masking tape now, just on a slight angle so the waters can run, although there's not too many watery washes on this particular one. And everything I'm using today, the brushes, paints, the paper, comes from Jackson's Art. And if you decide to pick anything up, I'll put links in the description, and if you use those links, it helps support the channel and it'll help me to keep making more of these videos for you. I'm just putting in a few lines there, which is representative of the windows in the buildings. A lot of this is going to be covered with the leaves when we start on this tree, which is the focal point. Once again, raw umber with the little bit of the raw sienna mix, burnt sienna, using these earth colours. Keeping the brush marks there quite impressionistic, really. Letting the tip of the brush do some of the work there, flexing over the paper. And letting the colours run into each other. You can see I put some quite thick paint on there and then dip my brush into some clean water, just spreading it out a bit so the lines are all quite varied. I'm putting some real brightness in here with cadmium yellow in that raw sienna mixture on the palette. Big palette I've got here, as you can see, John Pike palette, John Pike Big Well palette. Used to use smaller ones, and then as soon as I purchased this and used this a bit in my studio, this was the one for me. And this is how I like to paint now, with these large puddles of paint dipping into them. And I find using the smaller palettes now quite different, really. Still use them for painting outside, plein air. Lots of nice autumn colours here. All the siennas, umber. Make sure leave a few gaps there, here and there. It'll all start looking a bit. It'll start looking a bit better soon. It always looks a bit bitty when you first start with these types of paintings. It doesn't look very convincing. Now, while that's still wet, going back to these buildings in the distance, putting in the rooftops with French ultramarine and cobalt blue. The paints that I'm using are Winsor & Newton and Jackson paints as well. Jackson's watercolour paints, which I'm using more and more now. I find them very good quality, and they're on a par with the better makes, and a good price too. Just varying the amount of water in the paint, really. Pretty much the same colours I'm using at the moment, but just in varying degrees of dilution. And going over to these buildings on the right hand side, doing the facades. Just using the same brush, I put the brush into clean water and have a flat sponge that I wipe the brush out on before I use it. Once again, going around varying the colours. This one's got more grey in it, which pushes it back. The warmer colours come forward, and the colder colours with grey, blue, recede, they go back. The raw umber I'm using is Jackson's watercolour paint. Very watery French ultramarine there. Still working on these rooftops. Now going back over this tree area. Pretty much staying to what colours were there with the first wash. Going over some of it with the some of the burnt sienna with blue. Let that burnt sienna come through. Makes everything look as one. Making this rooftop much darker now, so it stands out against the very pale sky, which is just very weak Payne's grey mixture. Keeping the sky simple, as there's so much going on down below. Houses, trees, cars. Going over again with French ultramarine on this rooftop on the left hand side there. You can see with the composition here that this is another one of those that I've done where all the shapes become one large shape, if you like. Everything's connected. The tree connects the left hand side to the right hand side. I'm going quite deep with the Payne's grey at the base of these buildings on the left hand side there. Not making too much of them, not putting in every window, every detail, just an impression of some buildings there and some things going, some bits and pieces of buildings, something going on at the bottom there, maybe some stonework or that kind of thing. Going again on the trunk. And for that I'm using the raw umber again. Quite a detailed drawing for you to use. Which includes all the branches. Saves you the job of having to invent your own. Spending quite a bit of time on this tree. It's really a major feature in this painting, really adding to the mood of the painting with the rich colours and it dominating everything with its size as it's in the foreground. A nice rich deep warm colours. Just going over everything again, blending some of it in with some clean water on the edges. And then I'm going to be doing some leaves coming out across the sky. Using a small round brush. All my brushes are I'm using here are synthetic. And then there's a tree branch you can't see above, a few leaves and things on the right hand side, adding to the connection, connecting the left to the right. Pretty much use the same two brushes throughout with this particular painting. There's a lot of small sections to it really. No need for a great big brush. I'm getting some nice deep darks in working on these tones. It's building up this tree area. You can see it's quite varied now with the colours. Lots of earth colours there and some darks. Now we're going some of the reddy colours, light red, burnt sienna. Putting in some of the leaves, impressions of leaves coming off of branches. Everything very broken. Just working my way down. I've got pedestrians and cars to put in yet, but they're really going to be done very fast. You can see with this painting I'm working from the top downwards. I quite like to do this anyway if I can, because it saves my hand going on to wet paint and lets me paint for longer periods without drying any of it off. There's hardly any periods where I've spent drying this off actually. I find that using these better quality cotton papers, paint dries pretty much quicker anyway. They're very absorbent. Used to use Bockingford for years, and then moved across to these cotton based papers and much prefer them. They're much better for my style of painting. Now I won't use anything else. I use Saunders Waterford, but Arches are very good. Using a rigger brush here. Nice fine point, putting in some of the details on these rooftops. Keeping it nice and thick here because I'll be doing these, putting in some of these windows, fascias. I'm going to do it once. So using it really quite thick. Neutral tint, Payne's grey. Good combination for darks. Just a very slight bluey grey tint. If you do ever go at this, you'll see all the marks for where these windows are in the under drawing. Not painted every single one, and probably missed quite a few out. Just giving an impression of grand buildings with stonework and lots of windows and big windows. And then there's these branches off the trees, just suggesting a few. not putting them all in. At the road level, there's 3 cars there. I'm just going to be putting in a dark mixture, not giving them any colour. Don't want them to be very prominent, really. Just a small part of the composition. If you're going to be painting street scenes, you invariably got to be putting cars in, otherwise it wouldn't look realistic. When there's a road involved anyway. Just a few marks, a couple of squares for the windows. And then a few dots for the wheels, and then leaving a slight gap. It's going to be putting some shadows there to anchor them to the floor. Remembering perspective here with the cars going larger as we come into the immediate foreground. As I say, not making too much of them really, and not making them look like any particular make of car. Just a car or an estate or whatever you imagine them to be when you look at them. And then facing us there's one car on the left hand side, and there's going to be some pedestrians there as well. And when you're painting pedestrians and they're near cars or doors, just make sure you do them of a size that would be able to get in the car or get in the doorway. And we have a couple here on the left, just walking along the road on this nice autumn day. And I put their shadow in straight away. Sun's on the right, coming across. The shadows go to the left. You can see how slowly everything's tying together now, and this tree will look even better when it gets some darks on it in a minute. Doing a tree in the distance. Quickly flicking in these branches using this tip of this rigger brush to good effect, and it bounce across the paper quite confidently. Making sure I don't do anything straight. Everything's got to look very natural like it would in nature. Done quite a bit of the painting with this rigger brush. I do like using it. Lamppost going in. Lift the top of the lamppost clear of any paint. This looks quite nice. And there's these cars and the curb on the right hand side. Leaving this road very light and just putting in some shadows soon really adds to the brightness of the painting. Gives the appearance of some sunshine on what might be quite a cold day. Just doing the wheels on this car there. As I say, not any particular make, just a made up one. Two headlights and a radiator grille. But leaving that gap underneath there. I'm going to be putting some shadow there, which will stop making it look like it's floating in the air. Keep returning to this tree and just adding a bit more. Quite enjoy these type of paintings. As you can see, it's quite loose. I'm not fiddling about too much. I let things dry and then go back over again. In this case, I use the lighter colours, the raw siennas, burnt siennas, and then going back afterwards with the darker colours, putting some darks in. And just going over these people again for a second time with this dark colour. Now, just put a little bit of alizarin crimson in with this grey mixture here, which is French ultramarine Payne's grey, a bit of cobalt blue, a big puddle there on the paper. And I just want to go once with this wash, so working quite quickly with the medium synthetic brush, and then putting in this shadow off the car and the curb, shadow off the tree, and there's a few shadows off of these buildings as well. So the sun's reasonably high, really. As you can see, this ties all the picture up and also adds to the connection of the left and the right hand side. Just dragging this brush quickly across this lovely rough paper. That's called dry brush, by the way. Going deep now with some cabin yellow. Very permanent colour, this one, cabin yellow, when you put it on. Never be able to wash it out. Adding some cadmium red to it. Get a different shade of orange to the siennas. Just be a little bit careful on these things like the cars now. Just looking at where the shadow side of them is. Just doing half a windscreen on that car facing us. Just doing these final bits now. Bits and pieces I think need a touch at the end. And once again, try not to fiddle, doing things unnecessarily at the end. But just being constructive here with the last bits. Putting a few more darks in where there would be dark. And now taking the tape off. And there we go. That's our little autumn walk through Antwerp. Now I hope this helped you see how a simple composition with these warm colours and a loose touch can make your watercolours glow. And if you'd like to go deeper, more demos, more guidance and a friendly group of artists learning together, you're welcome to join me on Patreon now. It still is early days, but it's already becoming a lovely supportive space. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.